Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another co-parenting situation falling apart in front of a judge. After 12 years of maybe we're together, maybe we're not, that produced 3 children, these two seem determined to argue about everything. The father, fresh out of jail, says he's trying to step up. Meanwhile, the mother, who gave him 3 children before deciding he wasn't fit to parent, disagrees. They both present different versions of reality. Him focused on the future and just wanting to see his boys, and her alleging a history of domestic violence and unfitness. Let's see how the judge sorts through these competing narratives.
Calls number 24 DFAM 345,562. This is in the 264th Judicial District Court of Bell County, Texas. This is in the interest of Martin minor children. Non-custodial party is Robert D. Martin. Custodial party is Sherelle Thomas. This matter is before the court. Originally, it was on an original petition to sue the affected parent-child relationship with an AOP that was filed back in April of last year. That there was a temporary hearing on this matter back in September of 2024, at which time the court did appoint the, let's see, it's like the court appointed parties, joint manager conservatives, giving the mother, Ms. Thompson, the right to decide the domicile of the children. Did appoint Mr. Maldonado Perez as the ad litem for the children in this matter. The court will note, like I said, that was done in September, that the court did, after that, did file a first amended petition to sue the affected parent-child relationship. I think that included the information about a special needs child in the pleadings. I didn't see that in the first pleading, but I may be wrong. Anyway, the court will note that I don't see any direct service on that one, that new amended petition on either party. The state may have done it electronically. I'll have the state confirm that one way or the other. But at this time, I'll ask the state what the state is requesting we do here today. I don't see is Miss Thompson there somewhere? Or did she appear this morning?
She's present, Your Honor.
Okay. I don't see her.
She might have fallen off, Your Honor. She was here just a minute ago.
Okay.
She's back in the breakout room. I'm resending the invite.
All right, thank you. Anyway,
yes,
the
Your
court
Honor.
for the record that both parties are present. The ad litem is present. So at this time, I'll ask the state for an opening to tell the court what the state is requesting we do as soon as mom gets back in. Did the ad litem to make an opening statement, whether or not we're needing a further temporary order, is this going to be final? And we'll take it from there. Mr. Martin, I don't let pro se litigants make opening statements. I only let lawyers do that because pro se litigants don't know how to make an opening statement. So, so at this time, I'll go ahead and let the lawyers tell the court what they're requesting we do, what they understand the agreements and disagreements are, and what's at issue today. So at this, and whether or not we're going to do this as a final or attempt. I see Ms. Thompson is now in the room also. So I'd like to let the lawyers make their openings, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. All right, kind of lost Mr. Diamond there for a second. All right, he's back. All right, Mr. Diamond, can you make your opening, sir? And then I'll go to Mr. Maldonado Perez. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll work on the answer to the court's question regarding service. This has been an issue with our default is to do 21A service. I realize the court prefers personal service, but my staff might have disregarded my request for personal service and tried to do 21A. So I'll see if I can get an answer before the end of the hearing.
All right.
The requesting a final order today, and I believe it was a sole managing conservatorship that the court ordered originally. It included non-disclosure and findings. Although I think Mr. Maldonado Perez is going to recommend the possession and access of some sort going forward. So I will defer to Mr. Maldonado Perez as far as possession and access conservatorship. The state is requesting the disability finding. Mr. Maldonado Perez really did his homework on this one and got school records. So the school's done a big evaluation, and so we'll be offering those into evidence. It's technically Mr. Maldonado Perez's exhibit, but I believe that'll prove the disability. And then as far as the current support, requesting, sorry, Your Honor, I saw somebody else look like somebody blinked, but requesting $284 a month in child support, $34 a month in medical. That's the current. And then the retro is going to be somewhat convoluted. I don't think it's as important an issue as the possession and access, but I believe it's going to require the court making a ruling. I believe the testimony will be that the parties separated May of 2021. That Mr. Martin has two younger children. That the younger child was born in April of 2023. Excuse me, that the older of those two children was born April 2023, the younger born April of 2024. So my total calculation of the retro, oh, I'm sorry, and I believe Mr. Martin will testify. He worked as a bartender, making approximately $1,500 a month during that time. That would be June of 2021 through the end of June of 2024. And that's going to be I believe that's the end of the retro period. Mr. Martin was incarcerated late June of 2024 until the beginning of this month. So 37 months total. I calculate 14,534. And that's 23 months, 3 in, none out, 12 months, 3 in, 1 out, and 2 months of 3 in, 2 out. There's going to be a disagreement about how much Mr. Martin contributed on Cash App. So I believe Miss Thompson's testimony is going to be he paid $400 in cash in 2021 and $4,301 in Cash App, and she also has an exhibit to that effect. So if the court uses Miss Thompson's number, the total I have, and I believe Mr. Perez is going to join in requesting that. That's $9,803. And if that's the court's number, the requested repayment from the state would be $100 a month. If the court uses Mr. Martin's number, which would be, well, I think he has several, but assuming the court takes my retro calculation, gives Mr. Martin credit of 5,000 and change, the number would be $9,333, and the state would request $97 a month. And then a third option, Your Honor, and this is going to be a little more involved. There's going to be testimony, at least from Mr. Martin, that the parties all lived under Mr. Martin's father's roof for about 18 months, that Mr. Martin paid a number of bills, and that was understood. That was his contribution to the family. But I think he's going to assert that he was effectively supporting the children by contributing to the bigger family's economy because they were all under the same roof. And so I think he's going to be requesting consideration for that time period. I'm not taking a position other than I'm requesting some kind of retro, and the court do whatever the court thinks is fair, and I can calculate interest plus 50. Of course, I guess the court could probably also do that, but anyway, but that's what I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second, Mr. Maldonado Perez. Your opening, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. In this case, I visited with the children and the mother, and this morning essentially with the father, and I came to the conclusion that it is in the best interest of the children to have a breaking period to start having a relationship with the father, and then move on to weekend visits on the first, third, and fifth weeks of the month. Also, I am also recommending that Raiden, this court would consider Raiden for his disability and be part of the record as the school has proven with the evidence that Mr. Diamond is going to present today, because he's going to need it because of his current conditions. I visited with him, and he has a strong disability. He's autistic, nonverbal.
And which child of the three is that, please?
Braden,
Braden. Okay, thank
the
you.
middle one.
Thank you both of y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and swear the court in. Let's get some testimony, and we'll take it from there. The CSO is not testifying in this one, is she, Mr. Diamond?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, then. So at this time, I'll ask Ms. Thompson and Mr. Martin to both unmute themselves and raise your right hands, please. All right, do you both solemnly swear or affirm me? Testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will help you.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Martin, you unmute
Yes.
him. All right, you're both officially on the oath. I'm gonna go ahead and let the state call you as witnesses. You can put your hands down, and obviously the ad litem will have the opportunity to cross-examine. At the end of the hearing, if either of you wish to make a closing statement or argument as your own legal rep, you'll be allowed to do so. But at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and let the state call you as individual witnesses and let the ad litem cross-examine. So you may proceed at this time, Mr. Diamond. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Call Ms. Thompson. Ms. Thompson, will you state your full name, please?
Sherelle Marie Thompson.
Okay. Can you just remind the court briefly your son's Raden's disabilities?
He's nonverbal, autistic.
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, I would offer what's been marked. I marked it as Exhibit A. It really should be Children's Exhibit A, as is Mr. Perez is the one who went out and got this, but it's Exhibit A.
All right, then. All right, folks, I have the affidavit from the designated authority in this matter. It's been marked that it's Exhibit A. Is there any reason this should not come in evidence, Ms. Thompson?
No.
All right, Mr. Martin, any legal reason this information should not come in evidence, sir?
No, sir.
All right, Exhibit A is admitted. You may proceed at this time, Mr. Diamond. And again, the court will review this information and look at sealing it also. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Ms. Thompson, I'm gonna skip the visitation, even though I know that's the most important part of this case. I'll let Mr. Perez deal with those. So just know you'll get a chance there, but let's focus on what's going to go to the retroactive support. When did you and Mr. Martin separate?
May of 2021.
Okay.
That's when I moved out. We moved out of the same home. But we were broken up
Yes, ma'am.
beforehand.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand. And how much support has he contributed between then and today?
All the transactions that are through Cash App.
Okay. So and I believe your Cash App shows $4,301. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I believe, did he make an additional payment of like $400 right at the beginning of the separation?
Yes, in June. That's when I moved into my first apartment.
Okay. So am I correct in saying that the total credit you believe that Mr. Martin ought to receive would be $4,701?
Yes, that's correct, I believe.
Okay. Your Honor, may I share my screen?
Go right ahead.
And if you look at the screen, Ms. Thompson, I'm showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 1. What is this?
Yes.
What is States 1?
Those are all the transactions from the last transaction.
And I'm going to permission to scroll down, Your Honor.
You may.
All right, I'm gonna scroll down so you can see the whole thing.
Everything was made through Cash App. Like I said, we barely seen him.
Yes, ma'am. And so sorry, I've got a bunch of pages to scroll through. The pages I'm showing you are these correct and correct?
Yes, they're correct.
Correct and accurate copies of the screens that they came from?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I believe that's the correct predicate. If not, I apologize, Your Honor, but I would offer States 2, or sorry, this is States 1.
All right. Any objection to States 1 coming in evidence, Ms. Thompson?
No.
Okay, Mr. Martin.
No, sir.
Mr. Maldonado Perez.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, States 1's admitted. You may proceed.
Okay, so let's talk about I'll let Mr. Martin talk about his numbers here when it's his turn. But let's talk about the living under the grandfather's roof. Were
Yes.
you and the children staying under Mr. Martin's father's roof?
Yes, we were. I was being harassed at my previously apartment, so I moved out. I couldn't find an apartment in that time frame, so we did stay with him.
And
The
by the
kids,
way, nobody's criticizing you. It sounds like it was a decent arrangement. So,
yes,
what from when to when were you living with the children's paternal grandfather?
um, from 2000. Let me see. It was the school year of 2023 or two.
So
My
beginning like
oldest was in fourth grade. My oldest was in fourth grade.
so we're like beginning of like
So
September.
2 years ago.
So what, like September, August or September of 23 until sometime in 2024?
Yes, August, September 22 until May, that whole school year.
So August 22 through May of 23.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so and was Mr. Martin living under that roof as well?
No. My kids hardly seen him, my sons.
Okay, sir. Okay, ma'am. Don't just answer the question. If he wasn't there, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't add anything else additional. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So no peer. Okay. Well, you've answered the question. So are you aware of any agreements with the family that Mr. Martin would pay bills or provide other support to the household?
No, I was actually paying towards bill because I get Social Security for my son, Raiden Martin, and I was working.
Okay. Um,
And with Social Security, that you have to pay towards bills.
okay. So Mr. Martin never told you like, hey, I've got to deal with my dad. I'm paying the power bill, so that ought to cover my share of.
That never happened.
Okay.
Like I said, I was paying my portion.
I understand. All right. I will pass a witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Maldonado Perez, your witness.
Yes, Ms. Thompson. Well, how much visitation does Mr. Martin have with your children since past 5 years?
He's hardly seen them. He's seen them here and there, birthdays or Christmas or Thanksgiving. He hasn't seen them at all last year or this year.
So would you say he only sees the children in special events?
Yes. And when I lived with his dad, when I was working at this restaurant, I reached out and asked if he can help sit with them from 3 to 5 until I got off. He was not reliable. I had to quit that job and get an at-home job.
Okay, and have you provided him access to the children when he asks you to, or
Yes,
how do you work that out?
I've said he can see them, even though my kids strongly don't want to go with
Okay,
him.
ma'am. Again, don't add. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's do and let the attorney finish asking the question before you answer. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And don't tell me anything that the kid says. Okay, that's hearsay. That's not
Okay.
admissible, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you have any concerns about the father?
Yes.
What concerns?
His history.
What history?
I was in a domestic relationship with him, and also
When you say a domestic relationship, what do you mean by that?
I was abused by him in front of my kids.
Did you ever make any did you ever call the police?
Yes.
How many times?
Several times, but the last time before I moved out, I filed a report.
Okay, so would you say it happened several times, but there was only one investigation then?
Yes, and several times when they came, he wasn't there, so they basically didn't do anything. We were on and off for 12 years.
Okay, and would you would you agree with, I mean, let's talk about your son, Raiden. Does he, are you aware of any disability from him?
Raiden? Yes.
Okay, what kind of a disability?
He's nonverbal. He's not the age that he is. He's about to be 11 in May. Mentally, he's not. Um, there's a lot of things that come with autism, routine, and this is going to be a big change for him, especially if he's going into a place where he doesn't have his own space, as Robert
Now
doesn't
we're
have his own.
talking, okay, so does he need special care?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of care?
There he needs to be attended to. Attentive care. He needs to be
So,
like if
so
he's
what
going
does that,
outside to play, he has to be watched and looked after. He can't just go out there with the other kids unsupervised.
okay. I
Um,
have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am. I'm sorry. How old are the other two children, please?
12 and 8.
Okay, so Braden's the oldest.
No, Raiden's 10. He's about to be 11
Oh,
in
I'm
May.
sorry. I thought I said it was 13. Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
he requires some accommodations.
Okay. All right then, ma'am. And when's the last time that you alleged the father has actually had, say, overnight visits with all three children together?
Never.
Okay. And when's the last time has he actually had them by himself over the last 2 years, ma'am?
When I lived with his father for that year, and he came over a few times and sat with them while I worked.
Right.
So that was back in 2023.
All right, ma'am. And okay. All right. That's all I need at this point, ma'am. I'll wait to hear Dad's side and see if there's something else additionally I would want to know at this point. But for right now, I'll return you to Mr. Diamond. So, Mr. Diamond, any other questions of this witness, sir?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, then. I'll let you call your next witness, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, will you state your full name, please?
Robert Denoy Martin.
Okay. And again, the same thing I told Ms. Thompson. The visitation issues are really going to be Mr. Perez's lane, so I'll give him a chance to ask you questions there. We'll focus on the other stuff with my testimony, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
But so are you currently looking for work?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay. So my request to the court then would be to set your child support based off of minimum wage. Do you have any objection to that?
No, sir.
And how many other children do you have?
2.
When were they born?
April of 2023 and April of 2024.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the retroactive period. When did you and Miss Thompson separate?
2021 of May.
Okay, May 2021.
We moved out of the house at the first week of June.
Gotcha. All right, and then so my retro period is, so let's bookend this. So my retro period is June of 2021 and through June of 2024. Were you incarcerated at the end of June 2024?
Yes, sir.
And when were you released?
February 4th of this year.
Okay. Were there any other periods of hospitalization or incarceration that lasted more than a month?
No, sir.
Okay. What were you doing for a living between June of 2021 until June of 2024?
I worked at a bar.
All right. And what were you making approximately?
$1,500 a month, approximately.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about actually, before I talk about it, Your Honor, permission to share my screen?
Right ahead.
All All right. So, Mr. Martin, I'm showing you an exhibit marked States 2. What is this?
It's a screenshot of my Cash App of the money that I was sent to Sherelle Thompson.
Okay. And permission to scroll down, Your Honor?
Right ahead.
And there's not as much to scroll on this one. Is this a true and accurate depiction or a true and accurate copy of the screen from which it came?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So $5,261, that's the credit that's what you're saying you paid. She's at 43 something, you're at 52 something, is that right?
Yes, sir, on the Cash App.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd offer States 2.
All right, any objection to stage 2 coming in, Mr. Maldonado?
No
Correct.
objection, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Thompson, any reason I should not allow this in evidence, ma'am?
No.
All right, stage 2 is admitted. You may proceed, Mr. Diamond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, but then there's some additional considerations too that you're requesting. Is that correct, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir.
How long was Miss Thompson live under your father's roof?
A year and a half.
Okay, so the dates that she testified to were August or September of 2022 until May of 2023. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't be able to get the months right, but I would say that in between the times of 2022 and 2023, she was living on at her own apartment last year. All of last year. I know that for a fact.
Okay. All right. Well, but she testified that that's like 10 months or something like that. You're saying it was longer?
Yes, my dad would say the same thing. It was longer than 10 months.
Okay. Were you, and I can't really get into what your dad said unless you want to call
She
him as a witness, but
she had moved out before the summer of 2022, and then she moved out. I mean, she moved out of our home in 2023 or in the August time or the end of July before the kids had started school again. So that would put that well over a year.
okay.
A little over a year.
All right. All right. So we're like 2 or 3 months apart. It sounds like I say you and Miss Thompson are about 2 or 3 months apart on the dates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, were you living under your father's roof at that point?
Yes, it's my current address and the same address I've been using since 2005.
Okay, here's the deal, sir. Okay, the question was, were you living there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay. I mean, just practically, well, I tell you what, let's stay on the money first and then we'll get into the dynamics. Were you paying, what, were you contributing anything to your father's household at that point?
Yes, sir.
What was the agreement that you had with your father?
The agreement was that I would pay the electrical, water, and internet while the children were while us and the children were under the roof.
Okay.
And that was my contribution to the household.
All right. And I realize it probably fluctuated over the months, but do you have, maybe if you think about it a minute, can you give me like a ballpark figure of what you were paying a month for all that?
I would say in between $250 to $400 a month.
Okay. Was there some sort of understanding between you and Miss Thompson that by contributing to the household, you were contributing to the children?
No, sir. It was a agreement between me and my father.
Okay. Um, all right. So if we call it 12 months, which I realize that's not a perfect number, and if we split the difference, that's $150 apart. So if we called it 12 months by 325, if the court were to give you an additional credit of it's 12 months by 325 would be $3,900.
Yes, sir.
So I think I should have said in my opening, hopefully I did, $9,333 was the number that I gave to the court before giving you credit for contributions to your father's household. If you were given credit for these contributions, I would have, Your Honor, I apologize that I'm slow with this. I realize the court could probably already have this done. I'm not an accountant. So I would have a total retro figure of $5,433. And if the court were to use that number, actually, first let me ask you, if the court were to order $5,433 in retroactive support, would that number be acceptable to you, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. I'm just
Okay.
here really to be able to have my visitation rights as a parent.
Right. I understand that.
Whatever I'll pay whatever the courts grant me to have me pay so that I can have my rights as a parent.
Okay, here's this, sir. Sir, stop. Here's the deal. Listen to the question. I just told Mom. Listen to the question and only answer the question before you at this time, sir.
No, yes, sir.
Yet. Okay. Thank you.
Right, and I realize the visitation is more important than the beans I'm trying to count. So I get where you're coming from, and I'm almost done here. But so if the court were to use that $5,433 number, my request to the court would be you be ordered to repay it $78 a month. So again, the question to you is, would that number be acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it, Mr. Martin. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Malo Perez, your witness.
Yes, Mr. Martin, the fact is you just came out of jail because you're serving a deferred adjudication probation on a controlled substance charge, right?
Yes, sir.
And how much longer do you have on that to complete that deferred adjudication probation?
I believe 4 years, sir.
4 years. Okay. And as part of the conditions of this deferred, you are not allowed to use any drugs or behave in any do any crime.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I would like to ask you how much visitation do you remember having with your children?
I had none.
None?
Outside of when she stayed at when she was staying at my father's, our family home.
Have you requested visitation to the mother?
Yes, plenty of times.
And what has happened?
She would deny me. She would tell me no. She would give me some type of excuse. She would use our past relationship as a reason to not give me the children, things of that nature, and or that I didn't pay enough. I didn't give her enough money this month to get them. Just this past couple of weeks, she denied me seeing my children by saying that they can't come see me and my family because they're in trouble.
Okay, now since you say you haven't had any visits, what kind of a relationship do these children have with your other children that are not half siblings?
She has played a role in keeping them from seeing their other children as many times as they have. They only seen them.
Sir, don't phrase it to your advantage. The question was what kind of relationships they have, and then we can get into the details. But right now, what kind of relationships do they these 3 children had with their siblings up to this day?
Sorry, sir. They've seen the youngest one twice, and they've seen the older of those 2 one time.
And how do
I'm sorry, Mr. Malo Perez. Are these 2 children by the same mother or 2 separate mothers? 2 separate mothers. All right, thank you. You may proceed.
And since you have no visits, how did these children were able to see their siblings?
Well, the one time was because she was having her child with the relationship that she was having, so she had our boys with my dad, and this was during my incarceration. So the other boys, the two younger ones, were also at this home when they were taken to this home, so they got to meet then. And then during the graduation last year, my middle son with Sherelle Thompson, Raiden was graduating, and my oldest with her was graduating. They were having ceremonies, and they were able to meet the youngest one out of the
Okay,
school.
so would you say this um, sharing has been through the grandfather?
Um, yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, and so he's been the link between your children and well, the siblings and the children's in this case.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you recognize that your son Raiden has a special need?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware of that need?
Yes, sir.
And do you think you can provide the attention he requires if he's with you?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything on redirect, Mr. Diamond?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Martin, you say you had two other children, two other women. Did you ever reside with either of those mothers before the on about the time these two children were conceived, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, who did you live with and where, and for how long?
Sarai Bryant for a year.
Okay, and what year was that? And that child is how old now?
Well, this was. I'm sorry, sir. I just got out, so but I was living with her during the first couple of months of the youngest one's birth. After that, I was incarcerated.
Okay, so the youngest one was born when again, please?
April 2024.
Okay, and the older child was born when?
April 2023.
All right, and did you ever reside with that mother?
Before he was born.
And for how long?
A few months.
All right. Any other questions at this time, Mr. Diamond, of this witness?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Malcolm, any other witnesses anything you want to ask of either witnesses this time, or any witnesses you wish to call, sir?
No, Your Honor, I have no witnesses.
All right, then, folks, I'm going to give each of y'all the opportunity to tell the court anything else in addition you think I need to know going forward. All right, so, and Mr. Diamond, are you have any other witnesses, sir?
No, state rest, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Ms. Thompson, then go to Mr. Martin. Anything else, ma'am, you think I need to know based on the circumstances and the request that each of you are making at this time? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure that my sons are safe in his care. When we were together, he wasn't the father that he should have been, and I gave him chance after chance to show me that. My oldest is 12 years old, and it's taken all of this just for him to want to be a dad. I would like for him to prove himself before I just release them to him, as they're not comfortable with that. All I ever wanted for my sons is for them to have a dad. And they have more of a relationship with my daughter's dad than they do with their own father, unfortunately. As long as they have their own bed, and he's working, and he makes sure that especially Raiden has extensive care, and all of them are safe as his history. He's everywhere he's lived, the doors got kicked in. He's been on probation since he's been in high school. And I fear for my son's safety. And, he has a short fuse. I was in a domestic violence relationship with him. I was abused in front of my sons. And I created a life for myself, and I got away from that. And now it feels like I'm, forced to recommunicate with him. But I know that he has his rights. I had these boys with him, and if he's changed, I would love that for my sons. I would love for him to be a part of their life, as long as in a good way. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Martin, your turn.
Um,
Closing statement, closing argument, sir.
I really don't really have an argument or anything like that. I just simply came so I could have my visitation rights as a parent. I've been denied that for pretty much 4 years and stuff, and I'm ready to kind of conclude this to get on with trying to be in my children's life without her interference.
Yes, sir. At this time, sir, where are you, what city are you, I'm sorry, where are you residing? What city?
Killeen, Texas.
And who are you residing with?
My father
Okay.
and our
And,
family home.
okay. And is it your plan to remain residing with your father, or what are we looking at, sir?
Until I get my things together. I was just incarcerated, and I was just released a few weeks ago.
Yes,
So,
sir. All right, then, sir. And you don't have a job at this time? Is that correct?
yes, sir.
All right. Did you talk to the did anyone talk to you about the NCP Choices program?
Say that again, sir.
This NCP Choices program, the people who look to help you find a job if you're unemployed or underemployed. It's a program through the court, through the Texas Workforce Commission. Did you hear her speech this morning? And has anyone talked to you about that?
No, sir. But I'm currently waiting to hear back from a couple people. So I mean, I will look into that as well, though, if that's what need be.
Yeah, well, I'd advise you to do so, sir, because I'm looking at making this a temporary order because right now I don't have enough data as far as your circumstances are concerned.
Mm.
And I'd like to say the choices people tell you, the average salary they get somewhere between 13 and 14 an hour going forward. So obviously I would want to know what your money is going to look like going forward before I stick it at the minimum wage presumption for the next 3 years.
Right.
So that's something I'll be looking at. Anyway, anything else in closing, sir?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Maldonado Perez, I'll ask for a closing statement from you, sir, what you're requesting. And again, the court's looking at probably a temporary, or I hate to do it, but again, his circumstances are so new that the court's going to want some follow-up. Obviously, they're going to be the county's going to be doing drug testing. I would want the copies of those results. And I want to see what his permanent residence is going to look like. Because like I say, right now he's living with his dad, but I'm not sure if that's going to be something long-term. So I'm going to look at doing something somewhere between 2 and 6 months, to between 3 and 6 months out to get a feel of what we're actually going to be looking at long-term going forward. So based on what the court's looking at as far as a further temporary order going forward, sir, what would you be requesting at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to request like a step up, so the father could have the children the first, third, and fifth weekends for a day until he can get, for a couple months, until he can get a bunk beds. He said there's 4 bedrooms in the house, and there's one available, but he only has 1 bed. So that he can start maybe having some weekend visits after that break-in period, Your Honor. That's what I would be requesting. Also, I would be requesting a finding of the disability on Raiden.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Mr. Diamond.
Yes, Your Honor. So join with Mr. President requesting the disability finding, request the court to start the current obligations. Would request the court to keep the non-disclosure that was ordered in place. Imagine the court will be modifying the family violence finding. So I defer to the court there as to how that gets modified. And then my request, Your Honor, is to go ahead and order the retro today. We've heard the testimony, and I think the iron is hot. I realize it's a messy situation, but if we could get that ruled on, and then it would just be the visitation when we go forward. So that'd be my request, Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I missed the my request on the retroactive, Your Honor, I would ask for a higher number. I think it's in the best interest of the children to have these funds available to them, and I don't see any reliable evidence that would change that. Ms. Thompson presented the detail of all the transaction, but Mr. Martin only presented a summary of a total, which doesn't really give us an idea of why the numbers are different. So that would be my position on that.
All right, then, folks. Tell you what. Right now, and the temporary order is mom sole.
Yes, Your Honor.
So,
Okay. All right. Well, for right now, I'm gonna keep a further temporary order, but I'm gonna keep mom as sole. I'm gonna go ahead and make dad possessory. Mr. Martin, I'm gonna need a copy of your terms and conditions of your probation, so I can see going forward, so I can see what I may need to cherry pick for the rights I'll give you under that order, the next order going forward. But you need to provide a copy of those terms and conditions to the ad litem, and ad litem will CC a copy to both mom and the state as far as that's concerned. I'm going to go ahead and set up temporary child support based on the minimum wage presumption, sir. I'm going to start that the first day of March, giving you credit for your two other children. I'm going to go ahead and also grant the temporary amount of for cash medical. I'm going to go ahead and make a judgment. I'm gonna go with the numbers that you have, sir. At this time, we're only looking at $1,000 difference, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you the credit of the $10,000 that you show. Again, it shows that it went to mom. I'm not sure what the circumstances were. There was no testimony showing that was something special for the child or a child or individual child only. So I'll go ahead and give you credit for that, sir. But I'm not going to give you credit for when they were in your dad's household. And that's mainly because I've got no corroborating proof of that. And number two, you were in jail for 6 months, and I can't order you to pay retroactive child support because you were in jail on those 6 months. But obviously, those children had to be provided for during that 6 months time frame. So I'm not going to give you any credit for that for what your dad may have provided. And I'm going to go ahead because again, I can't order that for that time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you credit for the time for the amounts that you did show in your app close amount. I'm sorry, app close went there. And your I'm sorry, it was a Cash App, not PayPal. Okay, it was Cash App. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you credit for that, and I'm gonna order repayment on that amount to go along with your regular child support and regular cash medical, and your repayment on that retroactive amount, and an additional what amount was the state requesting? I think it should be somewhere around right at $100 even. Is that correct?
Your Honor, requesting, yes, it's close, Your Honor, requesting 97.
All right, okay. I'll go ahead and grant 97. That starts the first day of March. I'm gonna go ahead and let the file. I'll let Mr. Martin talk to if he wants to talk to the NCP Choices people today, see if he's interested in that program. For visitation, for right now, I'm going to go ahead and order visitation. I'm gonna do break-in visits. I'm gonna start out with the 4-hour visits. I'm going to order, and for right now, I need to have the ad litem and confirm that the visitation. I'm looking at the visitation the first, third, and fifth Saturdays of the month, and I'm going to start out with the 1 to 5, but I'm going to restrict them to his father's residence. So whatever his schedule he has to, if he wants to have the kids, there it has to be from 1 to 5 on those first, third, and fifth Saturdays until further order of court. And they are restricted to be at his dad's residence. Here's the deal, ma'am. I'm not sure what kind of transportation the father has at this point. Mr. Martin, what kind of transportation do you have to pick and drop off the kids, sir? Or ma'am, but would you want to drop them off and pick them up yourself? So that's what I'm looking at. What we're looking at. So I'll start with you, sir. What kind of transportation do you have, sir?
I have transportation. I have a Buick.
Okay, and you have a current driver's license, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, then. All right, Ms. Thompson.
Yes, I have a car as well.
All right, would you want to drop the children off at his father's residence at 1 o'clock and pick them up at 5 on the first, third, and fifth Saturdays of the month? normally I let dad do it, but based on y'all circumstances, I would give you the opportunity to do it or your designated agent to do it in your behalf. But please remember, if that's the case, then you are 100% responsible for doing it, and failure on your part to do it would mean that the court could actually hold you in contempt for not allowing the visitation. So, ma'am, which way would you want to go with this?
I would love to bring them. I'm about to put my car in the shop. Is there any way that his father could pick them up
I
and drop
cannot
them?
order his father to do. He's not a part of this case, ma'am. This guy, the only people I can give orders to are you and he. And the first Saturday of the month is a week from this. Coming Saturday.
Okay,
So,
my car should be good by then.
all right, then. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to, you or your designated agent, but they have to drop the children off at his dad's house at 1 o'clock, then go into 5 o'clock. And I'm gonna make that the temporary. Or I would like to extend it to all day, but I'm gonna keep it at 4 hours until we find out what Mr. Martin is going to be able to do, what his schedule is going to be going forward as far as jobs are concerned. And but for right now, I feel like the 1 to 5 will work, and we'll start that. And again, ma'am, you're responsible for pickup and drop off, or and you can use a designated agent to do that, so long as it's an adult, and I prefer family, and definitely not a paramour. Nobody gets no boyfriends, no girlfriends, and not even sir. Well, obviously you can have your other kids over, but I don't want the mothers over doing this visitation either. Where this needs to be with you and your children. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Understood. Yes, sir. I
All right,
agree.
then. All right, then. All right, folks. This is what I'm going to make as an attempt. Mr. Martin, again, sir. You say you got a couple of irons in the fire on this one. What jobs are you looking at, sir?
Walmart warehouse and that's pipeline business. One of my friends is running. So
Okay, then. Well, I'll go ahead and let you see about that. But again, look into the NCV Choices program. They specialize in finding people with criminal convictions jobs. Okay, that's not a factor for them. All right. So and while you're looking for the job, they'll pay you $50 a month every day you look for $10 a day every day you look for a job for gas. And once you get the job, they'll give you a couple of $100s and so forth and so on. So it's a chance to get some free money from the state. Okay.
yes, sir.
All right, but again, because you got child support coming up, and it starts immediately, sir. Okay, and the repayment starts immediately. So you're the ball's in your court. Again, your circumstances are your circumstances, and I'm willing to live with them, but you got to provide under those circumstances, sir. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Everybody cooperated fully with the ad litem, and I'm probably looking at an update hearing in about 90 days just to get a general update to see where everybody is and see whether or not we can make this a final order and do something else going forward. So at this time, Mr. Maldonado and the state, I'm looking at, let me bring up the Zoom code calendar because it doesn't like working with the Google or the Microsoft calendars. So now we're looking, so March, April, May, and this is the end of April. So all right, I got a general docket on the 20th of May, which is a Tuesday. I hadn't set up that Thursday yet. And I've got a general docket on right now. Now, in the next couple of days, I'll have the one for that Tuesday. But for right now, I do have a general docket on the 29th of May.
Beg your pardon, Your Honor.
May 20th is Falls. I'm sorry. I was just told that. I'm sorry. I saw the blue line. That's not y'all. That's Falls. So but I do have a Bell County docket on May the 29th at 9 a.m.
I'm begging your pardon, Your Honor. I'm sorry. You said May 29.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I interrupted, Your Honor.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a problem with May 29th, Mr. Diamond?
No, sir. No problem. Sorry for the interruption.
All right, Mr. Maldonado, does that work for your schedule, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. That would be the regular schedule at 9.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay,
I'll look at rescheduling y'all that date. And once we get an update, if y'all need a special setting, I'll set a special setting. But right now, I just want to leave it on the general docket and get that done. And of course, sir, I'm gonna leave you on this matter. Just send me a bill for the day and wherever else you need, and we'll take it from there. So at this time, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Martin. Any questions, sir?
In 90 days, we'll be able to, or how long will I be on this temporary thing where I only get my children for 4 hours?
until we come back, sir, then we'll update it at that point. And again, we're maybe looking at break-in visits, but the break-in schedule moves from 4 hours to 8 hours, then to overnights. Okay, that's
Okay.
that's my break-in schedule.
Okay.
But I will want to know where you're living and who you're living with, sir, and then make sure you're still living up to every aspect of your conditions of probation. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got. Yeah, the state of Texas is, and the county of Bell has an interest in you, sir. So I got to know what that interest is going to look like after that date. So that's why. So that's one of the reasons we're doing this as a temp. Next question, sir.
No, sir.
All right. Any other? All right, Ms. Thompson's questions, ma'am.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I don't have any questions.
All right, thank
I
you.
wanted to add something, but it's not a question.
Sorry, it's too late for that. Yeah, that's a closing statement, and I've
I'll add it next time.
All right.
I have a question.
All right, what's your question, sir?
Is she allowed to keep my children away from their grandparents?
I beg your pardon?
Is she allowed to keep the like if the grandparents request to see the children,
Grandparents don't have any rights in these cases, sir, but the visitation is going to be at your father's house, so obviously they have a right to be at their own house, so that's that, okay?
Right.
Okay, but the grandparents that don't get visitation under Texas orders unless they meet the criteria of actually having the kids for the previous 6 months or something like that. So right now, the only people who have parental rights are you and hers, and your rights are delineated under this order until we come back, sir. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right. All right, guys. Mr. Diamond, I'll let you go ahead and get the people back in the breakout rooms and see whether or not Mr. Martin wants to go over to talk to NCP Choices and see about getting some money from the state of Texas while he looks for a job. And but if Mr. Martin, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You will be reserving the disability finding for the final?
I'm good on that now. Sorry, I'll make the disability finding right now. The data's there. And I don't think the child's going to change in the next 90 days. So I'm making a disability finding on that child at this time, folks. But the circumstances change before the child's 18th birthday, then you need to let the court know. But for right now, I'm making a disability finding. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else, Mr. Diamond?
I think I know what the court is saying, but just for the sake of clarity, so the visits are unsupervised, but they're restricted to the grandfather's residence. Is that the way the court wants it to read?
That's the way I want. The grandparents could be there to supervise if they wish, but since they're not here and he can't volunteer them, I'm not going to throw them in the middle of this unless they want to be in there. But again, it is restricted to that residence, and again, sir, that means you don't get the kids and pile them in the car. Can't even go down to the Dairy Queen. You need to do a Grubhub or a DoorDash if you want to, or pizza delivery. But right now, it's for visitation. And I did it during the time frame where they should have already had lunch and they hadn't had dinner yet. But if you want to do something, you need to do it there at the house. Understood?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Diamond?
No, nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, folks. See y'all back. I'm going to go ahead and I'll let Mr. Diamond do the reset order and give you the code for the 29th. And I'll see everybody back here on the 29th of May with an update on the father's financial and probation information. Thank you. We're off the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't understand why people with a toxic history keep having children together. The mother's abuse allegations shouldn't be ignored, but this isn't about what happened back then. It's about whether he should have access to his children now. What do you think? Does a criminal record automatically make someone unfit for parenting? And at what point are women going to take accountability for choosing to have multiple children with men they later deem unfit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gripping courtroom moments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.